All right, welcome back to PowerSlaves with Toby and Lori, and we are really excited to have our special guest with us today, Guy Hinton from EchoSoul. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
We're doing great. so, basically, Toby, you want to start?
Yeah, just come out and just say, tell us about your band. I mean, we know that you're new, so we want to get to know you
Sure.
and share what you guys are about.
Okay. Well, yeah, obviously, definitely new on the scene. It originally started just as a collaboration project. Echo Soul is kind of I guess you'd say, maybe the second chapter of an old band that I used to have. It started with music that I wanted to finish, didn't do before, and let time go by, and then it morphed into something totally new. It was basically started with just me and a drummer friend of mine, Chris Martinez. Originally, it was me and him that used to play together in Apparition. And like I said, we didn't have a CD out or anything out before, but we had unfinished material we wanted to do. His time became unavailable, so I said, well, what am I going to do now? But this day and age of music, you can collaborate and you can do things on the web or however you want. You can send it to a friend to record, states away. I'm like, I'm not going to let it stop me, so I just decided to do it. And, I have some friends with some studio, and I went ahead and bought some equipment. I had Pro Tools and started to write new stuff. And then I started fishing out who I can use to play on the album. And the more I come to find out, there's less local musicians available and more international musicians. So I went ahead and did it. I sent out a few messages. Tim Ripper Owens came up in mind because the style I was playing, I think, fit something that he did called Charballs of the Dance. I think it was a Diamond in the Rough that was an awesome album, and the music I was making was very similar, and I thought maybe it's a good time to maybe play on this. So I just sent him a message, said, hey, you still available? And he said, yeah, and started writing some songs specific for his voice. And he had a tour coming up, so what I did was basically do about 3 songs, and I did all the rhythm, all the music to it other than the leads. I had to do that later, solos later, which I ended up having guests come on later. And I tracked it, got it ready for him to do the vocals. He started doing the vocals. His tour was coming up with the Ryan James Dio celebration tour, and I forgot the one, the Three Tremors. And so if he didn't have that tour going on, I probably would have seen almost every song. So what ended up happening is we cut it short with 3 songs, and I was going to do a demo. And then a couple other players came along, Garrett Peters and a couple other people. I'm like, I'm just going to keep writing music. And one thing led to another. 3 or 4 songs go into the mix, find a few more players, and then Rob Lundgren comes to mind. Somebody suggested that they heard him overseas and that his voice may fit perfectly on what I'm doing. So, shot him a message. He's available. We put it together, and I ended up writing, I think, 8 songs. We ended up doing 7 songs total. 2 of them ended up having Ripper on them, and then the rest for Rob. And then one they both sung, which we may turn into a duo later. Who knows? It might be a bonus track or something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So that's pretty cool. So that's what ended up being then. It was a full collaboration, guest musicians. I did bass, guitar, rhythm, first song, had a few guest players doing leads and what have you, and it ended up being awesome. So now it's morphed into a full band. Actually, I have local players now at this point, so it's going to be something that we're just going to do like chapter 2 and keep going with it. It just came out really good.
So your local people that you have playing with you are there in Indiana, correct?
Actually, Ohio and Indiana.
Okay.
Right now, I got Chaz Bond from Biogenesis.
Okay.
He was the singer there, and actually the bass player. Actually, they're both coming over. Randy Walton, he's the bass player. Then Kevin Messman, he's my other guitarist. He ended up joining. He's an old friend that he used to play with as well. And then, like the drummer to BA, Chris was going to be the drummer, but it looks like we're changing drummers at this place. But that's here nor there. Either way, we'll have it filled. But for the live shows, that's who's booked so far, and we're already looking at doing new material like in the next few weeks.
So, as far as like going back, like you know, as far as music goes, what would you say are your primary influences that for you?
Oh boy, there's a ton of them.
That's a great question. I always have to ask because I mean, you talk about Ripper Owens and other people, you know, being you write your material for him, but I mean, is it Priest? Is it Ripper and his other solo stuff, or what are your other influences?
Well, I'd honestly say probably, I think everybody obviously loves Judas Priest. I was from the Defenders of the Faith period. I love that period. Painkiller.
Yeah.
I think one of the best albums of all time. But a lot of my influence comes from Priest, from Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Testament. I have a lot of influence from Testament. I love their early stuff. Legacy Time. I love even some Yngwie Malmsteen. But then there again, bands like Nevermore, Ice Earth, Ghost Ship, Octavia, stuff that's coming out now. Chuck Schuldiner from Death, he had a lot of influence on me.
Absolutely.
Honestly. His style, I think, he was before his time. That was a master musician that was making great music and got his life cut short.
Absolutely.
So I have influence spanning all over, anything from thrash to melodic to power metal, you name it. If it sounds good and it really means something, I'd probably listen to it.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, you being a musician in general and just having, you know, not just writing, but lyrically and playing different instruments, you probably have a lot of influences all around.
Oh, of course. And then guitar work, you know, obviously that's where most of my influence comes from.
Right.
So,
well, you mentioned Yngwie Malmsteen and other guitar players as well.
Yeah. Andy LaRock.
Oh, yeah. Merciful Fate, yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, he's a fantastic musician that doesn't get enough exposure, I think, on the regular.
When you're not doing your music stuff, what kind of hobbies? What do you do when you're not? I mean, you mentioned you have grandkids and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. I do a lot. I'm a pretty crazy grandpa. I'm not riding quad, I'm hunting, I'm fishing. I used to do mixed martial arts. I've laid that down. But, you know, I got a piece of land, so the latest thing I'm into is beekeeping lately.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't sound metal, but I tell you what, it's pretty metal. James Hetfield's doing it now, so it must be cool, right?
I think you can make anything metal, though. Really, if you've got the soundtrack in the background. I mean, we're out here growing plants in the middle of North Carolina, and we're out here still jamming out to metal. And it's like plant growing and growing peas and tomatoes can be metal if you've got the right soundtrack.
Well, we wouldn't have life without bees, so we wouldn't have metal without bees. Let's put it that way.
Right? Exactly. Exactly.
That's great. So what? Who writes your songs?
I mean,
who writes the lyrics and stuff?
You're the primary songwriter. Or?
Yeah. I write all lyrics. I write all the music, the rhythms, melodies, harmonies, everything. The only things I give a couple of solos. I'm in on, but most of the solos I usually give to somebody else. I'll probably do more in the future, but my primary gift is really rhythm and writing songs. It's always been my gift. So tailor things around that.
Is there a common theme in on your album that you like to share with us? Like, you know, the themes around the songs?
Really? Man, that's a good question. I think there is kind of a subline theme maybe on this thing. I know that, you know, with the world, the way things kind of are, I guess I was kind of writing when things are kind of strange too still maybe. We're in the last year, and I don't know what I was really thinking, but a lot of things, I look at things globally, and I also look at how people battle things on a daily basis. I look at like if you're in a war, what is the veteran going on that's in the middle of a war? What's it like for him and his families on the other side of the world? Mm-hmm. And he's facing a row of 50 people that he's got to live or die and get back to him. You know, I write things based on stuff like that. You know, what the battle is on the inside. I write a lot of stuff mentally, you know.
It's like that
maybe
thought.
spiritually. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I write a song, I have a concept of what maybe a battle is going on for a person at that time period, whether it's for me or someone else. And I try to get a perspective of that. You know. Yeah. So most of the songs are either dealing with maybe some sort of battle they've had in the past, like Crucible War. Obviously, is about being on the battlefield with other guys and living or dying on the field and getting back to home. Elemental, it's dealing with actually the battle of depression. I think we're seeing a lot of that with people this day and age. It's just, they're depressed. They're isolated and they're by themselves and, trying to get a little bit of hope or perspective, at least to know what that feeling is and how to win it, or, at least my perspective of what it is, maybe.
Yeah, true.
Hopefully
True.
Hopefully it relates, and then some historic stuff, I have my own version of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, it's song based on the Roman that Pierce strikes, I just thought it was a very cool topic and wrote it in a way that maybe it's just like a movie, but you're listening to the movie instead of watching it.
Those are the best songs, though.
Yeah.
The storytelling
I
kind of
think so.
track,